the very first thing that has to happen in order for us to get a credit rating on the ability to sell bonds is that all communities have to approve and enter into this service agreement. I've indicated to the mayor that I've reviewed the service agreement. I made several comments that were incorporated in this draft you have before you. And my recommendation to the council would be to approve the service agreement and authorize its execution. That's a lot of ground to cover, but I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Patrick, thank you for coming out. What is the timeline? I know it's contingent upon county and everything else, but what are you looking at? What is the group looking at as far as the timeline for this, its execution and its completion?
Yeah. We have sent a proposed definitive agreement to Wayne County several weeks ago. We're waiting for comments back from them. That'll take some negotiation. My best guess is we're probably looking somewhere, hopefully in the first quarter of 2017. We can have this thing pinned down with Wayne County, that all the communities will have approved the service agreement. Another thing I guess we can't control is how DEQ is going to respond to this permit issue. Again, we sent them back some language we think solves the blending issue, sort of solves an asset management question that we have also. So a lot of those things are out of our hands now. We've lobbed the ball back into all these folks' court, and we just have to wait for them to respond.
So I assume that we've been talking with the other communities, and this is kind of a thing that they've all looked at already.
Correct.
So we're assuming that this agreement will be approved by 13, all 13?
That's our assumption. That's our assumption.
What do you think the purchase? If I could just expand on that a little bit, just to provide some clarification. The service agreement, we anticipate all 13 communities will approve. The definitive agreement, we suspect that there will be customers. Not all 13 will approve the definitive agreement. We know that there's some financially distressed communities, Ecorse, Rouge, Lincoln Park, maybe even Allen Park. Then you get into smaller communities, Belleville, Dearborn Heights. I suspect Dearborn Heights will play an active role and likely be an owner, but Belleville may or may not. Those are decisions that have to be made later in time, but I just want to make sure we clearly are talking about the same thing. Service agreement, we expect and anticipate all 13. Definitive agreement, likely not. Although we'd like to have all 13.
That's correct.
I was going to ask about price, and it was based on that question. I know that the authority will own the debt, but is there any financial impact to the owners related to that debt? I mean, if there's only 4 owners versus 13 owners, and simplifying it, is there a guarantee that those municipalities are making on that debt?
I think
we
that
assume more liability as an owner than we do a customer.
yeah, that's been a key concern from other communities. And as an authority, we have the same rights as does Wayne County, for example, to accept intercept state revenue sharing. If a community's not paying, we can take them to court, get an order from the judge to intercept these state revenue monies, so that it would come directly to DUI and bypass the community that say is at default.
Councilman, so if they opt out and they opt to become a customer, that doesn't relieve them of their debt obligation.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so they still have debt
I'm just saying
obligations.
there's going to be a bond of whatever this amount is.
$57.5 million was the purchase price.
So there's a debt out there, and I'm just wondering if it affects us financially more than a customer. I know that they still have to pay, but what does it do to us? Bond ratings, credit ratings, does it have any impact at all if that $58 million is spread over 4 communities on those versus 13 as owners?
Our bonding experts tell us that the agency who's going to set the credit rating for us will only be looking not at the individual communities, but at the authority in terms of their ability to make sure that they can make the bond payments. And again, based upon that, we have some fallback positions that we can use to secure those funds in the event you have a community that has financial distress and will not pay.
Pat, through the chair, there's one more thing that you should be aware of too, that there will be a surcharge also, it being a customer instead of an owner, so they'll probably be paying additional fees on the sewage than they would if you're an owner.
That's been a bit of a point of contention for one community specifically, because they're trying to anticipate what is the service charge or what would be the surcharge, and we don't have that answer because if there's 1 customer or 6 customers, that surcharge could be different. Right. So, you know, unfortunately we're unable to provide that to them. But we have been pretty honest in saying that it will be significant, it will be relatively painful. We want everybody, the idea is that we don't carve up the apple and peel out slices. We want everybody to continue on as owners. I think even, if I'm not mistaken, Patrick, the bond council has assured us that even the financially distressed communities can participate.
Well, that's
It's a
why I'm
matter of
wondering,
do they want to.
what are they avoiding as a financially distressed community by not participating as an owner? What greater onus is there that they would want to avoid it than to just become an owner and not have to pay a surcharge?
So there's only been really one community that's provided any level of pushback whatsoever, and I'm not sure what all the dynamics are. I think there's a lot of politics going into some of the stress of it. But the vast majority have all, kind of bought into the concept that we've done this together for this long, we're going to continue to do this together moving forward. The community that's kind of having some anxiety is a community that just recently joined DUA. So, that could play a role in it. We're not sure. But again, our position will be trying to get all 13 communities to move together with this.
I'm just trying to rationalize in my head, if I was a financially distressed community, and if I do this, it costs X, and there's no added risk to me, but if I do this, it costs me X times 0.4, as a distressed community, why would I want to go into something that's more expensive unless there's a payback somewhere else? And I'm missing that part of their argument.
I think we're kind of missing it as well.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I will add that in terms of the service agreement, there have been several communities that have already approved it. I think Romulus has it on their agenda this week, Patrick. Dearborn Heights was this week, I believe.
Is tomorrow evening.
Tomorrow evening. So there's a majority of them by the end of this week will likely have the service agreements in place. And then there will be a couple of lingering. There's a couple of communities that have some outstanding balances that obviously the financial folks are pursuing. But that was one concern presented by bond counsel. Let's try to get everything current so there's no reason that the bonding agencies could or this could have a negative effect on the bond rating. So, but as Patrick mentioned, there's quite a few challenges that still remain ahead. I did give you guys, again, this was just the kind of the short version. The original report was 808 pages, Patrick, I believe.
With exhibits.
With all the exhibits. I gave you the short version of the assessment report from Veolia on the treatment facility. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to either, you can ask Patrick or Keith or myself or whoever can give you the answer.
What was the total sale price on?
57.5 million.
And that was at one point 160 million requested price or something like that?
You're right. It was less than that. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Patrick.
Sorry to make you wait. Okay, we can go back to number 6. Next will be the opening of the public hearing to the straggling districts. 7 will be the closing, and 8 will be voting on the necessity. Then we'll open the public meeting and close it, and then approve setting up the costs. Do you have any questions or query on that?
For item 8, so I guess my backup and what's on the agenda is different for 8.
I helped Michelle again, so I probably must.
My number 8 says it might be. It's a motion to approve an 8.
Streetlight assessment districts. That's what my number 8 says.
Where's your son?
Oh, yours is right, mine's
Vote
not.
on the necessity.
Mine says motion to approve too.
Oh, yeah, I just have a wrong
Okay, so.
8 in my,
Oh,
it's okay. That was just confusing.
where,
Oh, yeah,
That's okay.
So, you okay with that? Let's move on to number 12. This is creating a winter special assessment rule that will allow district court ordinance charges to be added to the winter tax roll. Wow, in the amount of $172,650. How successful are we at collecting those?
I believe we have a 80% collection rate that we get done with, between us and the county treasurer reimbursing us. So it's a good return.
And 13 is similar. Instead of court ordinance charges, this is for grass cutting, emergency board up, junk and debris. And that was quite a sizable amount too, wasn't it?
It was that too. It was
153,
153,000.
140.
This is all people that got the tickets, but then just
Yeah.
have never paid.
They gotta put them on the rolls.
You don't happen to have the 2015 numbers, do you? I didn't ask for it in advance or anything, but
Not in memory, but I can pull the order right now.
it'd be interesting.
I think it was close to the same amount.
They seem similar, but it'd be interesting to see what the comparison is.
You, tomorrow morning.
Any questions on that? Okay, number 14, this is also to approve establishing a winter special assessment rule to collect county drain charges.
Is it,
I didn't get any backup on that.
Madam Chair, the backup was on.
Oh, that's
number
right.
Yeah, for 500 pages. It's in,
14.
That's on the round table.
Jerry, is this a new assessment, or is this something that we carried over from?
No, Councilman, through the chair, this is an annual assessment that we get from the county drain commissioner.
Do you know how much that total was?
yeah, 212,000.
$212,117.
Oh, okay. Sorry.